So, thanks everybody for joining us. Christine, Michelle, and I were all at Intuit Connect last week, where there was a lot of big announcements made. And so, we're super excited to have Randy join us today to talk through some of the cool things we learned. We wanted to make sure that he brought to our membership. Randy, you can introduce yourself, but I'm going to say you are a product consultant with Intuit's Partner Channel Professional Services team. That's a mouthful, but thanks for joining us. If you want to introduce yourself and then get started.
Got it. Thanks, everyone. Hi. Again, my name's Randy Casson, and uh, titles change from time to time. Officially, now I'm a professional services specialist within the Accountant Channel. This picture was just taken yesterday. It's probably my badge from back in the yesteryear. So I've been with Intuit since 2005, roughly. So I've seen some change going from desktop to QBO. So
Yeah.
thanks for having me. Uh, Agenda to hop in. So I want to talk about, as Deneen mentioned, some of the changes that were announced at Connect. Also, maybe just a little refresher too on a couple of things that have come out as well. So QuickBooks on the Intuit platform is the new view on your user interface on the UI. We're also going to talk about Intuit agents. There seems to be more that keep popping up. And then we're going to cover the Intuit Accountant Suite, IAS. We love our acronyms. So the Intuit Accountant Suite is basically your QBOA 2.0, based off of all the changes that's moving to one platform. There's the changes going on the Accountant Suite. And then there's also IES, which is the Intuit Enterprise Suite. That is our mid-market product. It's built on top of the QuickBooks Online ecosystem coding, and we'll spend a little bit of time on that as well. You may not have mid-market clients. You may have some clients that are a good fit, but I just want to make sure that you have some visibility into what that looks like, because there's some good multi-entity pieces to it. So I'm roughly going to try to do these in, say, 15 to 17-minute blocks, leave about 5 minutes or so for Q&A towards the end, and then I'll have to jump, say, 12:50, 12:52, 12.
Right. And if you guys have questions along the way, you can put it in chat. And if it's a good timing, I'll ask Randy, or like you said, we can save it to the end, but just make sure to post it in chat while it's going so that we can get to your questions.
Okay, so QuickBooks on the Intuit platform is what we're calling it. Again, as you probably learned from Connect 2, having everything on one platform then allows us to provide different offerings, use the AI agents and our Intuit Intelligence that they announce for a future state to help with all the work that you might need to do. So I used to joke about this, side effects may include extreme boredom because the agents are doing all the work for you, or extreme happiness because now you can spend more time talking to your clients. The UI changed officially on October 1st. It's kind of a slow roll for July. Most of your clients should be on the new UI with a few exceptions. So QuickBooks Ledger is still in the old UI for another few months. Also, if you have any QBO clients that have contractor payments attached to them, and not the payroll, but just contractor payments, that should be also in the old UI. And then Enterprise IES is getting moving to the new platform here with the new quarterly update. When I just logged in, the test file we have is now on the new UI, but I was told it wasn't going to be for a few more weeks. So the two that should still be on the old UI for now is QuickBooks Ledger and then QBO with contractor payments. So kind of what Alex mentioned in Connect, if you're there, automation where it counts, human where it matters, talking about the agents that are being deployed throughout the different products that are on the Intuit platform, whether it's going to be for client facing or helping now in the Intuit Accountant Suite, trying to have everything all in one place. So, right, Intuit owns some different products. So we own MailChimp, which is a marketing component to it. You as the accounting firm may not be really looking at that. You may not use it from your firm. Clients are probably using it, and you might not even be advising around a marketing component. So they may see something like that in their QBO that you wouldn't. But again, trying to keep everything in one place. And then more collaboration. One of the call outs here is if you've played around with it in the bank feed section, there's the context, transaction context gathering. We can ask your clients questions directly from the bank feeds, ask them to upload receipts, etc. So there are some agents out there, digital agents working overtime for you behind the scenes. Um, as we kind of slow rolled into the new release in October, most of the demos I would be doing would be around the accounting agent. But we did touch on other agents that are available. There's the payments agent that would help with either converting notes to estimates to invoices, to send emails out so your clients can get paid faster. I'll just touch on those because again, you may not be doing that particular flow for your client. You might just be concerned with, we want to knock out bank transactions and get reports out, etc. There's a finance agent that lives in advanced, payments agent lives in essentials on up, accounting agent, essentials on up. So really the bottom line there is Ledger or Simple Start will not have any of the agents, but they will have some of that AI powered component to it, like the new bank feed and the ability to drag PDF bank statements into the bank feeds, and then rules take over, or the new AI would help categorize those. You'll see that little sparkles over there when you're looking in the bank feeds there. So Finance Agent does help to bubble up insights. It's a good report that's only available in advance. It drills down into recommendations. How can you help change certain numbers? There's the Customer Agent now that is also flowing into Intuit Accountant Suite. So for those smaller firms that might want to use the free Your Books in a QBOA or now in the Intuit Accountant Suite, we'll have the customer agent, and that helps to track leads. You can connect it to you, or your client could connect it to their Gmail account to help bring leads in to see if they're hot, medium, or cold, hot, warm, or cold. There's a project management agent that lives for advanced, and then IES. A payroll agent that's starting to roll out too. It's available in all plans. It could be helpful depending on how the scenario is you're set up for your how your clients are running payroll. And then there is a new sales tax agent that I just saw a notification on that's coming soon. So more to come on that. But these are going to be your team behind the scenes. So just some of these vignettes to talk about. Here on the accounting agent, this is where you can ask those questions inside of the bank feed section. If you choose to turn on the Intuit Assist, then Intuit Assist can follow up with questions to your client. So if you ask the client, purpose of the mill, client says, yeah, it was a business meeting, then Intuit Assist can say, great, provide the names of the people at the table, what'd you discuss? So it kind of falls back to one of those pillars we just looked at of having all that information in one place. Looking at payments agent real quickly, right? Converting notes to estimates or to invoices, and then that ability to have some of these drafted emails to go out to help get paid faster. Sometimes our customers aren't the best at asking to get paid. Now, here's that customer agent we talked about with the leads and being able to scan the email. The vignette here is around Gmail, but we did announce, I believe, at the end of August that Outlook should now be able to connect as well. And then that finance agent that, again, can bubble up those insights. You run your financial summary, and then it's a good visual picture of what happened, say, the month before, or you can filter it for the time period. Quick cover here on the agents. Again, no agents in Simple Start or Ledger, which would live to the left of the spectrum. But then as you get into different SKUs, you're going to get more of that agent. So for example, accounting agent would have ready to post feature where the AI has identified transactions with high confidence that they're ready to go. But then if you bumped into Plus, then you're going to see our AI-powered reconciliation feature, the anomaly detection, where if you run a P&L, you'll see some sparkles that will say, bring out something that has changed dramatically, drastically over the last time period. And also Customer Hub here, just calling this out. You can follow up, track your leads, and then you get into the ability to do contract storage and e-signatures. So that could be helpful, again, keeping it all in QBO and maybe not relying on a third party. Um, Pivoting to the accounting agent real quickly, what's available here, and you've probably seen this already, but just a quick click through. The new AI powered bank feed is available in Ledger on up. Here, those little sparkles that we talk about is AI making those recommendations for your categorization. Hopefully, it's a time saver. PDF statement upload from for the bank feed. So cool scenario here. Maybe your client doesn't want to connect their bank account to QBO, or they're at a small credit union that just doesn't participate in the connection. Then you can easily um, drag the PDF over. We will just scan it and you get a side-by-side view. So anytime you click into these boxes, it's going to highlight the PDF to make sure it's read it correctly. You can override it if it needs to be, but here it's a time saver. You don't have to key enter in those transactions to get them in the bank feeds. Ready to post, right? There's a filter that is available in the drop down, or you might get a banner window up here basically saying we've identified these particular transactions that are ready to go. You can post them in bulk, or you could still go side by side and make those changes if you want one by one. You're still in control. The whole idea is just how can the tools help you be a little bit more efficient. The context gathering, the transaction piece where you can ask those questions inside the bank feeds. Some people are using it, some aren't. Maybe the client never steps into QBO, so that is something you probably wouldn't want to use. There's the gear wheel here that you can turn that column off so you don't see it and gives you a little bit more real estate. There's also this magic link that you can send to those, and they can either answer your questions, attach receipts when they're outside of QBO. AI-powered reconciliation. I think mine might still be in beta. I've heard a story here and there that it kind of just loops through. We drag the PDF over and it's not going as it should. But the last time I looked at it, your transactions have already been checked off through the bank feeds. When you drag over the PDF of the statement, then we're going to help you get to that zero mark here, all green, ready to go. That's
Randy,
on.
we have a question.
Oh yeah.
Will the accounting agent also post connected app transactions such as Shopify or PayPal?
Like post connected. I don't I don't think so yet. That's a follow-up I can find out. Usually the account agent is making those recommendations in the bank feeds. Now I don't have any third-party integrations connected in the integrated section. So let me maybe get you an answer on that. When you see your sparkles in these reports, then we're trying to bubble up insights. In this example of the time period, it jumped 2,100%. Did somebody fat finger that? Are they actually buying a bunch of supplies? Did something get miscategorized? It's actually office furniture and it should be, something, a fixed asset or something like that. Feedback I've heard around this too is for now, we don't know, I don't know what the markers are. So is it only going to bubble up an insight if it's over 10% or under 13%? Nor can you set those parameters at this point in time. I think that's feedback and something that you would go in and say, yeah, especially with Intuit Intelligence rolling out now, hey, tell me everything that is showing a difference in a drop or a gain in X amount of percentage. Pivoting to the modern view reporting, because that's, I think, also part of the change in the platform. So if you're familiar with the in the know webinars, right, happens once a month. We had one of our product managers that work specifically in modern view reporting, talking about some of the change. Now I know that modern view has been back and forth. When's classic going to go away? There for a while, it's going to be the end of this year. And did that layer on top of the new UI? Was that something that we were going to try to force together? So now it sounds like they're still on hold. I heard something about 2026 for Classic View until actually we get things up to speed. But I borrowed these slides from the In the Know webinar that took place last 2 weeks ago, maybe. So here's some of the changes that we're working on. So what's been completed has been auto refresh, persistent customization. So if you go in and you stretch the columns for a report and you step out and come back to that same report, it should stay. I mean, when I did that the other day in a P&L, I made it really wide. went to different transaction, came back, and that was still there. And then we've the removal of the save report prompt that every time you want to do that, it keeps popping up. So those are some things that they said have been completed. Some things that are in progress. So page level scrolling. So now I don't have to stay inside of the report to scroll. I can scroll on any part of the page. Definitely that's a perk of Classic View. And then kind of simplifying the reporting experience. So having the familiarity of the Classic View layout with the architecture, the power of the modern view capabilities behind the scenes. So that's in progress. I've heard kind of different dates, maybe the end of November. So keep an eye out on that. Hopefully it's there before tax time. And then some things that are coming soon. Whether it's the improved report order of the general ledger, your $0 accounts, intuitive date picker. But this one I think for me calls out because I used to heavily rely on the reports option in the accountant toolbox, now called my menu. And that report options would only look at classic view and not the modern view. So they're looking at fixing that. So your feedback's been heard, keep it coming, but I just wanted to share these slides in case you weren't at the in the know last time. So let's hop into product. All right. So I'm still in a classic QBOA. One thing to call out in QBOA here in the bullhorn is where we provide you with a lot of updates. So whether the links to the Firm of the Future articles or other information, right? Here's a screenshot we just had. We can click on this and get to the Firm of the Future article that talks about more of what we're doing. So keep that in mind. Updated guide, you're probably already familiar because you've been living in QBO over the last month with the updates. But there's a toolkit here, could be helpful to share for new clients that aren't on QBO yet, or maybe they're still on desktop, and when they come over, they're going to see something that looks different. And then even if you scroll down to the more product updates, here's how you can customize your tools, which I'll spend a few minutes on. This is really having you update your the My Menu, which is an updated version of the accountant toolkit, briefcase, whatever you're accustomed to calling it. So let me pivot over to clients. So I'm going into advanced file with payroll turned on. When we did the A/B testing, as we rolled this out, the carousel up top got a lot of positive feedback, and your carousel up top is going to match what's over here in the app section. So as I scroll down, the apps stay here at the top. So you're going to hear that more often. We're commandeering the name of apps. So breaking down QuickBooks, now that's on the Intuit platform, by various areas are going to be now called apps, whether it's projects app or the or payroll app or time. We also made an announcement back in July that inventory could now be added to lower SKUs like Simple Start or Essentials. So you would have an inventory app up here. Hopefully we're going to be doing more of that. Maybe you can a la carte and customize some things now that the platform is kind of stretched in that scenario. You won't see marketing up here because I'm logged in as a QBOA user, accountant user. But if I was the end user, I would see the marketing app, which would take me to MailChimp. So if I wanted to do that, I could sign up for it. So again, trying to stretch the offerings and make sure everyone's aware of what's available and have it all in under one roof. So your customized tab down here, I can pin 3 of my favorite apps, which I have the accounting, expenses, and sales app down here, but I can also rearrange. So in this scenario, maybe I'm a payroll person and I want a time and payroll up top. So I'm going to restore to the default, and then right away, right, if I come back over, come on, then my accounting app is back first, which then mimics here. Intuit loves the flyout as you hover over. Probably takes a little bit of use, some time to get used to. But if we just click on the My Apps, show you where everything is kind of moved and it's available. So the client overview and the books review is under the accounting tab app now. Here's your bank transactions. Here's your integrated transactions we talked about from Shopify. So this view is still in the old banking section, whereas in the bank transactions has this updated view with my sparkles. So to answer that question earlier, which I'll still get information about, I would assume eventually, but there's not a way for to using the same features here like you do in the bank feeds. QuickBooks Online Advanced has fixed assets and revenue rec, so they're here under the accounting tab. You can still use the My Accountant piece to help your clients. A few things that have moved. Under the customer hub, we put estimates down here with the customers in the lead section. So we think maybe that's a better fit because of the way we're building out the customer hub. And then under sales, you're going to see your invoices there. Everything else hopefully is familiar for you. Your bookmarks will have been carried over, so you can bookmark different parts of the company file. I can even bookmark reports if you want to get to a report quicker. So there's that option. And the one thing you're not seeing here is reports. Where are my reports? Well, we've got reports over here. On my standard reports, I can still favor those. Many of those are launching in modern view. So again, take a look at as we make our updates. So let's just test that theory. Is customization saved here? All right. And I'm going to go to, let's go to different bills. And then watch me be a big fat liar when I get back to reports. So I do have a bookmark. Let's see if it's going to be the same link. Yep. So I kept the stretch. All right. So live demo worked. So again, we're making some of those improvements on there too. Here's those anomalies, right? Maybe there's some insights here that are bringing up something. Sales are down. This is part of the anomaly detection that's in plus on up. Since I'm advanced, then I have that ability here. You can click into it. It's reviewing the books. It might make some recommendations here to say there's what's going on depending on what that situation is. So the My menu, if you click on it, then you're going to get the two-way sync here. So then I can customize what I'm looking at. So I go back and forth on this. For me, I just have it set up where I've got the accountant tools, which is the briefcase that's here. For the create, I just added a journal entry option because the create button's right here for me. I can easily go over to that. And I didn't put any of my bookmarks here because I've got all those bookmarks here saved. So maybe you want to customize it in a certain way. Maybe you want more bookmarks. You just hover over the flywheel of my menu and get to the steps you want to work on. Feedback we've heard, I'm not sure if we're working on changing it, is that the menu is customizable at every level for all of your clients. Whereas, the accountant toolbox was static. It was in the same order no matter what client you went to. So now it is very customizable. I think that's feedback. Maybe we'll be able to put maybe a default option in there so it looks the way you used to have it, but now then you can customize it to move things around. So I don't use the write-off invoices. So why do I want to see that? Or I want my report options to be up top now that we're making some changes, right? So you've got those options. One second in the same file. When I've tried to change the customization on my on this company file specifically, it does that. So I don't know if it's a sample or it's a bug. So let me get out and get back in here. Okay. And a few more minutes and we'll get into the IES stuff. Yep. So flying over again. Some other feedback we heard too is like, I want to be able to click on it so it stays, which there we go. This one now got updated. Because there could be times you hover over and then, if you had too much coffee like I do, you kind of bouncing around. If I click on it, then it should be steady for me to stay, which now it's not done. There you go. Down and then pick the feature that you need. In the gear wheel, in case you haven't seen this yet, we've rebranded it under additional info. There's a new keyboard shortcut, which is called full screen mode. Used to say toggle Zen mode, but the idea behind that is depending on what screen you're on. So let me open up my little side window here. We borrowed from the vendors and customer section in the older layout. So I can still click on the hamburger to close that down if I want. But if I use the shortcut, which is control period, then the banner goes away, the left nav goes away, and I can do control period back, or I can hit the escape button, which then gets me back to what I want to see. And where that might come in super handy is if I go to the bank transactions. Some pages will have it hardwired, so I can click here, gives me that full real estate. Maybe you want to put it up on the big monitor when the client comes in quarterly to talk about what's happening in their books. So at least you've got full real estate there. Okay, so I think that's the tour. Again, hopefully you've been comfortable with it and it's getting easier and you like the layout. But if I go back to QBO, and if I'm in the gear wheel, if I'm the primary admin, then you do have the ability to take a look at the Intuit Accountant Suite. So let me just show you what this looks like because there are some pop-ups that are here that could be helpful in understanding, and then we'll pivot to product. All right. So similar kind of layout, talking about some things that we're working on. So there's the QuickBooks Online Accountant Plan, and then there's the Intuit Accountant Suite, which we're going to have two different tiers. But things that are in beta right now that you could try and have access to would be a books close feature. So you'd be able to close the books from the accountant level versus going into each company file is one option. Then there's also the client insights that's out now too. So it's basically looking at all of your client files, pulling up certain metrics that you could see on your dashboard in the accountant suite, and you can customize that. So you want to see income, expenses, net income, and then you can sort it by, custom fields. So if you've got different industry types that you support, then you can kind of view it in a way that you want to look at. And again, we're going to pivot over to that too. But client insights, your books closed. This is more of the insights on the agents helping get that information up. If you're using the Your Books, then you do have access to the customer hub that can then track leads for you. So there's that. And then some things that were coming, right? They probably talked about it Connect. I don't have it in any of these files. But being able to manage your team training so you can assign courses inside of the Pro Advisor program to your team members and say, hey, I need you to do these courses or go and get certified. And you would have that insight on a dashboard. And kind of some FAQs that are down here. So in order to use Books Close or the Client Insight, you will need to put a credit card on file. It's $0, but at some point, those services are going to have a fee. They haven't shared what it is yet. I think we're still kind of checking it out. But it's going to start to say here, say roughly in January 2026. All of your role-based access controls that are in QBO A are now in Intuit Accountant Suite. So you have that consistency. And so again, just kind of looking at where to go. If you wanted to then move forward on it, then here's kind of the tiers, right? Here's our QBOA. Then we're going to have IAS as core and accelerate. And the core is going to have more of the agents, the new layout. You can choose to turn on the books close, and if you want this, there's going to be some fee associated with it, or more of a all-inclusive under the Accelerate suite, which are going to have a dashboard for service delivery on bill pay or payroll, even integrated tax for PTO. Um, Advanced agents sub-org. So now you can build organizations for your team members, and you pick up a new client, and then you can say, I want to assign my CAS department, everybody at once, with those different user permissions you already have set up for RBAC to that particular client. So there's a lot of coming soon stuff that is out there. Okay. So then with that being said, let me pivot back to the deck, and let's just look at a few slides, and then we'll hop into product. So because we already did the tour of what QBO is looking like these days, then you're going to see that's very similar. You're going to have this apps concept. So if your clients don't have access to your books, then they're not going to see, the widgets here, your P&L, but they'll have access to the work app, the client insights app, books close app, etc. Okay. Moving on, what you need, what we heard, kind of moving on. Um, you know, again, all in one, AI powered, helping out with some agents to help organize and do the work that you will need us to help with. Let me get into some screenshots here. So this particular view is from a team member that wouldn't have access to your books, right? Because some firms just don't use it. So what can they see? They can see kind of the books closed status on their homepage, any issues with bank connections for their clients. There are some product recommendations. So there may be that AI powered piece to say, I don't know, we see that your customers typically get paid late by 37 days. Do we want to help them turn on a late fee, or would payments help them to get paid faster? So there's some of those things that are going to happen in there. And then your product updates to be able to see those updates faster. It's your product recommendation. This lives in QBOA already, but then again, recommendations that may be helpful, may not, at least you know kind of what's happening on some of the insights that the agents are working on. More of the highlighted view of where I want to see if there's issues with app connections or bank accounts. We can customize this home screen, which we'll show you as well. We talk about load time is faster in IAS versus QBOA. Here's that organization piece that we talked about of being able to group those team members that you want to assign to a client. And then a few more screenshots on kind of your KPIs. So on the financial insight view under the client insights. So here are clients I have access to. I can customize these columns to show me what I want to see. There might be 8 or 10 different options there. So then you can spot differences. We can change the reporting period. So if something comes up, you can even click on the sparkles and say, all right, what is that? Do I need to talk to the client? Do I need to drill into the QBO sub? Your books close feature as well, high level. I don't want to say essentially it is the books review that we've put here on top, but the flow is kind of similar. You can create your own. There's a template that's available. You can create your own templates based off of your firm's process to keep everybody on task to go through and make sure everything's done. So again, high level, don't necessarily have to step into the client file. We've improved our transfer tool, realm consolidation. So depending on your scenario, if you've got a ton of realms and you're using tax in all these different realms, you probably want to wait until after tax season. But if you're maybe a smaller firm, you're not using those, but you just acquired another firm and maybe it's just simple for the realm consolidation, then there's an approved process for that. We can move more files over at one time, and that's going to be up in the gear wheel. So here's the improvement on the Pro Advisor training, be able to assign different coursework within the product. And so they, of course, would get alerts. You would have visibility, bonuses. If everybody's going to get a bonus if you're certified, then you can make sure high level, hey, I need you to go and do some of this stuff. CRM if you're using our YourBooks, and then kind of timelines. So this particular view, I think QBOA is going to go away towards the end of 2026. So you have time. We know it's tax season coming up. You got 1099s you're going to start looking into. So maybe you want to sit tight, or you can also turn on the betas and take a look as well. You can switch back and forth. So there is that option. So after May 26, 2026, then I think we're going to start bringing out some of those new innovations like the bill pay service delivery, et cetera. If you are more tax focused, then again, you might want to wait until after tax time, get the team trained up on it, et cetera. Okay, so let's see, we're at 10:35. Let me switch companies. So this particular company, we've moved over to IAS. We're connected to a few QBO subscriptions, and we've got the credit card into for to turn on some of the features. So I can customize this dashboard. I did move my sales funnel stuff for the YourBooks down below, but we can see we've got a few app issue connections, no issues here. I can see of the 6 people connected to this Intuit Accountant Suite, 2 of them are certified. And so we can also view in-message training too to see, all right, who's doing what level are they in, et cetera. So the layout's the same. I can customize my menu to get to certain things. If your client doesn't need access to the book section, then of course their views would look different. They wouldn't see any of the Your Book stuff here. But kind of looking at, your work tab, work app, depending on, again, if you're using the new view or the card view, then there's a beta version still where you can create projects for your customers. We can also assign tasks here, but the client's insights, which I've actually made a bookmark, so I could go to this page real quickly. Here's the few views that they've provided for us. You can create your own views, and you can remove them from favorites or make them a favorite. This one, add to favorites. So if we look at creating a new data view, well, let's look at a P&L, and then I can customize what's available for me to take a look at on here. How many rows do you want? Do you like the alternate color? Is that helpful? How do you want to sort? Right? We can even sort by, maybe I just want to see other clients with more revenue than the others versus by alphabetical and client. But maybe this is helpful, right? To take a look like, oh, okay, something's not right. Let me go to the client's report. So that's going to take me inside of their company file. And then again, you can, if you have custom fields turned on at the client level, you can sort by that. We can sort by different products. Whatever filters you might need are here. So I think we're just, more to come as we build this out. The books close feature, again, if your team member is connected to a client, then they'll be able to be given access to, assign certain workflow. So you do have to onboard clients that you want to use this particular tool for. So once your clients are onboarded, in our scenario, we have only just 4 clients connected. I can have access to all 4. We can run periods. Who's it assigned to? What's the status? But if we look at this Dunder Mifflin for October, you can add tasks. So you do have some of those pre-closed. We can see what's been reconciled. We can add and remove whatever accounts you want here. We just have 1 checking account, but maybe you need more accounts that you want here to look at. Looking at when we reconciled last, ending balance, due dates. kind of that the whole, check off the box to show it's complete. So then our tasks will go down to 22 of 22. Transaction review. So here's a transaction, a journal entry. It's looking at the QBO subscription. There are more in here. Right? There are some transactions greater than 2,500. So you can kind of create your customization on what's important on how that looks. So, so again, add your flows. One thing that isn't here yet, and I think it's feedback. So if you're in the books review section on the very end, I can go and close the books. I can it's a hyperlink that gets me right to that area to lock down the books with the password. It's not at this level yet. And I tried to customize and copy the close books link and put it in here, but it took me to the book section here of this accounting firm to close the books. So I think that's a work in progress to have that link here. But really, you could, if you start to use it, you could just have a note in here, additional items, go and close the books. Okay. So more to come on that. Your client list looks the same. I can still get to my clients from clicking the meatball, the company picker, that's all there. Still, some of this got the right user permissions. Do we want to edit the client, etc. I'm not the primary admin in this company file, so I can't break those connections there. Okay. So hopefully that was a interesting tour on that. Like I said, the books close and client insights, it's $0. You would need a credit card to go. You'll get notification once we figure out what the pricing is and what we're going to charge you and when. But if you want to take a look at that then that's what's required. So really, when we look at the Intuit Enterprise Suite or IES, the big things that are calling to it are around multi-entity. So we support up to 200 entities within a bundle. Go backwards here. So the way IES is priced, it's enterprise-wide. It's all custom depending on what your client's needs are. So there's not a set price that we can share. So you go through that process of what do they need? How many entities do they need? We build it in a way that those are connected. So you could do intercompany transactions. Consolidated reporting looks across all the entities. So there's that on the dashboard that you would see. Dimensions are basically classes. So once you go into IES, if you have classes in Plus or Advanced, then those classes move up to be dimension number 1, and then the base package includes 4 more dimensions. So you'd have 5 dimensions. Those dimensions you can see on any transaction form, really. So expenses, bills, invoices, estimates. And so once you start to be able to tag dimensions, bank feeds, you can tag bank feeds at the dimension level too. Then you can start running P&L by dimensions or custom reports by dimensions, depending on what you need. And then if they're construction, we've got more within the project management piece. And then there's really some more AI-powered reporting when it comes to FP&A. So let me see if we can get into product. I do want to show you one last thing here too. All right, we're at 10:44 Arizona time. QuickBooks. Right. So just to give you that idea, depending on which, QBOA or AIS. So for now, at least in QBOA, if you have any clients that are on IES, then all the features work the same, right? I can still look at bank connected transactions. Do we need to prep for taxes feature? When I hover over the green meatball here, the blue eye here, I can get to that client that way. Still available to get to an IES client on the drop down. And then from a multi-entity perspective, so In this scenario, this client has two entities, a parent and a child. So we can always collapse these. So if you have multiple clients that have multiple entities, then there's a way to do that. Accountant Toolbox would still work, or the My Menu does work in IES. So easy to get to that particular client. So let's pull over. So this sample file just launched into the new UI. And it caught me off guard because it was supposed to be in the next couple of weeks. But the one couple of things, so we did pull the company picker from a QBOA to be here in IES. In this particular scenario, there's 8 entities. We've got a parent, this is our naming convention, and then different children here that you can get to. In the gear wheel, there's also the ability to do a shared chart of accounts. So there's some things that are going to have been moved in the new UI. So I don't have access to it because I'm not the right user in this sample file again. But the idea is now I can look at a shared chart of accounts. Do we want, there's a flow that goes through it where I can say, all right, I want majority of these chart of accounts to be shared across all the different entities. Some I don't because this bank account's unique to client, company A, and this one's unique to company B. So you have that ability to do that. You can also share your dimensions across all the different entities. So that's available. You could do intercompany journal entries. We can look at there is intercompany transactions. So whether they're journal entries, you can create an invoice for one company and that gets uploaded as a bill as another company. That's kind of like our business network. You can do eliminations. So there's some really good things happening here in IES as we push into the mid-market. So let me look at time. So 10:48. Let me see if there's any questions. And let's see where we've moved one particular thing in here. We could do allocations here too, right? So the whole idea of parent company pays something, I need to allocate it across the different child accounts. You can do allocations either at the transaction form level. You could do allocations in the bank feeds. So let me see if I can get to a different demo environment here within TestBox. Okay, well, more to come on how the new layout for IES is going to work. But again, if you've got clients that could benefit for having multi-entity where all the companies are linked together, if you're spending a lot of time doing journal entries inside and out of different company files, this might be something to consider. Let's take a tour over here. Any questions? Yeah, if you see diamonds next to these are going to be add-ons. So maybe you're in a client file that doesn't have payroll, or inventory could be a good fit, right? If they're in a smaller SKU and they don't need classes, they don't need revenue recognition, but inventory would be nice because I'm a small business selling, a Lego out of my garage. Oh, yeah. So again, I mentioned we commandeered the name of apps. So you're going to start to see more of a terminology around third-party integrations, and that's going to live up here in the icon, all of your QuickBooks on the Intuit Suite or an IES. So if you are using Bill or Avalara, right, they're all going to be up there. Yeah, I see a quick question here. So is there a way to keep reports as classic view so I don't have to keep changing back? There's not. There's some reports that will still launch in classic view, but those that are launching in modern view, at least when I've gone in there and switched it to classic and bookmarked, saved that report as customized classic, made it a bookmark, when I would go to launch it again, it's still going to show up as modern view. But hopefully the new changes we're doing to make the modern view now look a little bit more like classic view is going to put your mind at ease for doing those things. Okay, well, I think let me go ahead and call it. Just want to say thank you for letting me crash your party, and hopefully there's a few nuggets that you got from that. And I'll stop
Thank
the
you so
share.
much, Randy. Let's see, we have a question. Let's see. Is there a way to keep your reports as classic view so I do not have to keep changing back?
Yeah, I did just mention that. For
Yeah,
now,
he just
no.
answered that.
You did. Oh, okay. Sorry. Sorry. Okay. Well, I know you have to scoot, so we appreciate it. If you guys have any questions, you can let me know and I can have Randy like email some answers. And then we're going to post some things in the forum because you do the webinar every week.
Yes. For
Okay.
now, I think it's every Thursday, 11 my time, which is 1 your time, 9,
Eastern.
yeah, 9 Pacific, I think, right?
We're all in different time zones. Yeah. So send that to me so we can post it in the forums. And then anytime you have webinars like that, if you send those to me, we'll post them in the forums too to keep our membership up to date.
Love to do that. Thank you.
Thanks, Randy. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Take care.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.